Towanda Circle is 9-11. Abilene is your 6th seed. They're 13-7. They will take on Wellington. Wellington right at 500 with a mark of 10-10. And regional for McPherson, it is the Bullpups 16-4 taking on El Dorado. El Dorado, the 13 seed, and the 5 seed Buhler. They will be taking on Ulysses. Ulysses 9-9 and Buhler 14-6. So that's your 16 team Western bracket of Class 4A. As we mentioned, the softball regional going on across the way as well. Tell you what, they're doing the lineup card exchange right now, so we'll take a final break and get back to, well, we'll just go ahead and keep it here, actually, as we get set for this contest. Larned taking on the Chapman Irish. I asked if it was the Fighting Irish or the Irish, and they indicated that a few years ago, Notre Dame had Fighting Irish copyrighted, so Chapman, to stay out of trouble, they just now the Chapman Irish. Defensively for Larned, they'll start this way. Carson Shaver is on the mound. Deacon Martin will be his battery mate. At third base is Ty Smith. Caden Morgan will be your shortstop. Brady Hope is at second, and Ian Simmons will be your first baseman. Outfield left to right, Mason Miller, Cade Coglazier, and Tristan Reagan. For Chapman defensively, Jed Mooney and Nathan Hall will be your battery mate. Mooney on the mound, Hall behind the plate. Avon Fisher at third. Carson Hassenbeck at short. Can't read my own handwriting there. Chris Falls will be your second baseman, and Cade Haney will be at first base. Left to right across the outfield, Ray Whitehair, Cooper Lewis, and Ben Griffins as we get set for number 7 seed Larned at 12-7, taking on Chapman. The Irish coming in with that mark of 10-8. 320 down each line here at Smoky Ford Field. Right field and left field lines is 320, and the dead center field, it is 385. As head coach of Chapman is done with the discussion, Judd Lebo, so he's headed back to his dugout. And finally, Chad Irway will walk away from the 3-man umpiring crew that we'll see here for this afternoon's contest. And Larned set to take the field here as we get set for the Larned Indians taking on the Chapman Irish. Busy day of baseball and softball on the Eagle radio stations out of Great Bend. We have 3 games starting at 2 o'clock. I know the it was Great Bend baseball was on 1590 KBGB 95.5 FM as Great Bend taking on Hayes. That rivalry is renewed, and this time it's in postseason action. And let's see who else was playing. Randy Gehring was in McPherson, I think, for Larned. Day of baseball and softball here on 106 on the Eagle radio stations, as the 3-man umpiring crew has taken its place, and Carson Shaver is on the mound doing his warm-up tosses. And I'm going to have to move a little bit because they set me up directly behind home plate, so I'm going to scoot a little bit to my left here, so maybe I can get a better angle on home plate. Carson Shaver, the sophomore. Larned, a very young team, only a couple of upperclassmen on the ball club. Ian Sanders is one senior, and I think that might have been the lone senior. I was talking to Chad Irway before the contest. They do have numerous juniors and then a couple of freshmen playing. And as you might know, probably know, Larned is co-oping with lacrosse this season, as lacrosse able to bring 2 or 3 players to Larned, as Larned will be dressed in their black tops this afternoon with white numerals and white Larned spelled out across the front. They have on the gray slacks, and the Chapman Irish, as you might expect, they have green tops with white pants, and they have a darker green outlined in white for their numerals, and they have Irish across the back. So it is Larned and Chapman as the throw from the Larned catcher. Deacon Martin goes down to second base, and we're ready. And I apologize if I mentioned Hoisington once or twice accidentally. Did the Hoisington game last night and kind of sometimes gets stuck in my mind. Batting from the right side will be Chris Falls as he steps in against Carson Shaver. Shaver kicks and fires, and there's a swing and a miss out of the offering, and the snowballs in 1 strike as we're underway. Class 4A West Regional. Winner will take on the winner of Pratt and Mulvane later of this evening here at Smoky Ford Field in Pratt. The 0-1 offering on the way. This one misses the outside corner, and it is 1-1. As I mentioned, 320 down either line here at Smoky Ford Field, and it's 385 to dead center. Field turf infield. The 1-1 pitch on the way. This one misses away outside, and the count is 2-0. Talking with Chad Irway before the game, and as you might expect, keys to the game were throw strikes, play clean defense, and timely hitting. Basically, all managers will tell you the same thing. There's a 2-1 offering, foul back to the screen, and it's 2-2. I mean, I'm directly behind home plate. I hope that fence is good, because if it happened to slip through there and it was right, I'd be in trouble. The 2-2 offering on the way to Chris Falls, the second baseman from Carson Shaver. Into the full windup and the pitch. Ooh, just missed. Catcher Deacon Martin held the ball there for the umpire to take a good look, and it just missed, so the count is full at 3-2. 3-2 pitch from the Hoyt Larned sophomore is popped up to the second baseman, ranging to his left a little bit as Brady Hope. He makes the catch, and that's your first out of the contest as Chris Falls pops up to the Larned second baseman. 1 out, nobody on. That brings up Nathan Hall, the Chapman catcher, stepping in on the right side as a wide open stance, has that left foot just almost out of the batter's box as he stands in from the right side. Shaver kicks and fires. Pitch stays a little high, and it's 1-0. I think when I scooted to the wrong side, so between innings, I'm going to scoot to the other side. It's a great vantage point, no argument there. The 1-0 pitch from Shaver. Ball is hit into right field, and that one's going to just twist foul. It was close, but they're going to call safe, hit fair. Okay. Looked like it twisted foul to me, but it will hit the line, I guess. And that's a 1-out single up the right field line by Nathan Hall. He's on first base with 1 out for Aben Fisher. Fisher is the third baseman. Aben, it's A-B-E-N. Aben Fisher. Carson Shaver will work from the stretch now with Nathan Hall on at first base. He had the 1-out single after Chris Falls popped up to the second baseman, Brady Hope. Pitch is chopped foul to the third base dugout where the Larned Indians hold fort, and the count is no balls and 1 strike. Miller, Coglazier, and Reagan left to right across the outfield for the Indians. Smith, Morgan, Hope, and Ian Sanders left to right across the infield for LHS. Deacon Martin and Carson Shaver, your battery mate this afternoon. The 0-1 pitch is a beautiful day for baseball. Mostly clear sky. There's a few puffy clouds out there. There's a pitch lined into left field. That one's going to hold up, and nice running catch out there by Mason Miller. It held up just long enough, and he ranged way to his left to make a nice catch on Aben Fisher. What a catch by Mason Miller out in left field. And we're going to put a star by that one. He left his feet. He didn't fall to the ground, but he did leave his feet and made a running one-handed grab. And there's 2 out with nobody on as Nathan Hall back to first base. Well, that's a way to play your defense here early on and give some confidence to your pitcher, Carson Shaver. Carson gets the sign from Deacon Martin. There's a swing and a miss. The runner goes from first base. The throw is going to be in plenty of time, and it's a throw out as Nathan Hall is retired. 2-6 as he is thrown out. So Carson Shaver faces the minimum in the first inning. Gave up a single. It was a bloop single to right field, but then a nice running catch out there in left field by Mason Miller, and it's a 3 up and 3 down for the Chapman Irish. We'll head to the bottom of the first. Chapman nothing. Larned coming to bat. You're listening to the Indians 106.9, powered by BTI and Great Bend, your John Deere dealer.
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
There you go. Stands in from the right side as the newly named football coach, Brady Keith, will be down the first baseline in the coaching box for the Larned Indians. Left-hander brings home his pitch and misses outside, and the count is 1-0. Well, I scooted to the other side of the table, and hopefully I can get a better angle on the plate. Hopefully the umpire will continue to stay to his left. The 1-0 offering. Off-speed pitch is high, and the count is 2 balls and no strikes. Bottom of the first, no score. Carson Shaver faced the minimum in the first inning. Retired the first man. The second man got a base hit, but then was caught stealing. And there's a called strike, and it's 2-1. Does not look like Jed Mooney has a lot of velocity. We'll see as we go on. Maybe he's just getting warmed up here. The 2-1 offering from the left-hander. Off-speed pitch is a called strike, and it's 2-2. Sometimes those can be the hard pitchers to hit. If they throw a lot of off-speed pitch, a lot of people call them junk ball pitchers. 2-2 pitch. There's the ball hit to the shortstop, gathered up by Hassenbeck. He fires across the field turf, and just in time, hustling down the line was Brady Hope, and he made it very close at first base. But the umpire threw up that right fist for the putout, and there's one out and nobody on for Cade Cogleser, the smooth fielding center fielder for the Larned Indians. Cade, a junior, bats from the right side, facing the left-handed Jed Mooney. His pitch is high, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Chatteraway has the unique signaling of signs. He yells out numbers, not giving signs like a lot of people do. And the count is 1-1. I was talking to Brady Keith before the game. He said more teams are going to that direction, where they're just yelling out a set of numbers, and then everybody looks down at their wristband to see what they're supposed to do. The 1-1 offering from the left-hander Mooney hit foul up the right field line. It'll be out of play, and the count is 1-2 on the Larned center fielder. Just a beautiful day here in Pratt. Overcast skies are starting to break up. Wind is out of the north. It's drifting in over the left field fence, but not with much velocity. There's a pitch that Cogleser thought about it, but it hung up high, and he checked his swing, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-2 pitch. Chopped. Gets past the pitcher. Second baseman Chris Falls feels it, throws in the dirt, gets by the pitcher, and by the first baseman, and on the first base safely is Cade Cogleser. That was a tough hop there for Falls to handle, and his throw was in the, I'm going to have to say dirt. I know it's not dirt anymore, but it was in the brown portion of the turf, and it's an error. And on at first base is Cade Cogleser. That'll be error on the second baseman. That brings up Caden Morgan. Morgan batting from the right side. 1 on, 1 out. Bottom of the first, no score. Larned and Chapman. There's a ball fouled over to the first base dugout, occupied by the green-cladded Chapman Irish. 0-1 the count. As Caden Morgan looks down at his wristband after the numbers are yelled out, and he's ready to go. Getting the lead at first base is Cogleser. And there's a throw over. That was a very gentle move by Jed Mooney. I'm sure he has a much better one. We'll see here as we progress throughout the day. No balls and 1 strike on Caden Morgan. An error allowed Cogleser to reach. There's another throw over to first base. And Cogleser back to the bag. Obviously, in high school, we do not have the new rules that the major leagues have taken to speed up the game. The 0-1 pitch. There goes the runner. He got an early break and and no throw at all. Cogleser got a great jump. I'm not sure that the pitcher, Jed Mooney, could have stepped off the rubber and then thrown over to first, and then Cogleser would have been in trouble. But Mooney decided to come home anyway, missed with the pitch. So the count is 1-1, and Cogleser now at second base with a stolen base after reaching on an error. Pitch is fouled off to the right side out of play, and the count is 1-2 on Caden Morgan. Morgan batting from the right side. He's the Larned shortstop this afternoon to start. Little bird dogging there by the shortstop. There's an off-speed pitch that stays outside, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2 pitch, chopped foul up the third base side, fielded by one of the Larned players in the dugout, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. I believe that's also the Pratt football field. Did they move out? I know Pratt used to have their football field downtown, but there are some lights that look like the football field. That's not a big enough grandstand for Pratt High School. Pitch misses outside, and the count is full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, 1 on. Brady Hope started the inning by grounding out to the shortstop. Cade Goglazer reached on an error by the second baseman, stole second, and the count now full on the third place hitter, Caden Morgan. Stepping off the rubber is Jed Mooney, and chasing Goglazer back to the bag at second base. Just a beautiful day, as I mentioned a couple times already. Wind just gently breezes out of the north. There's a foul back to the screen. The count holds on Caden Morgan. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Larned with the black tops, white numerals outlined in orange, gray pants. Chapman with the green tops, white pants. They have a little, I think it's black numerals that's outlined in white. Morgan set, as is Jed Mooney. Mooney gets the sign from the catcher, Nathan Hall. Now checks the runner at second base, Cade Goglazer. And this pitch is lifted into center field, giving chases Cooper Lewis. He's underneath it, raises up the glove, makes the catch for the second out of the inning as Cade Morgan flies out to the center fielder, Cooper Lewis. Pretty routine fly ball there. Lewis had to move a little bit to his left to make the put out, but he did so. And there's 2 outs with 1 on here in the bottom of the first inning, no score. Larned and Chapman only takes 2 wins in Class 4, 5, and 6A to make the state tournament. Pitch on the outside corner. Nice looking pitch there by Jed Mooney. And the count is no balls and 1 strike as Ty Smith steps in. He is the Larned third baseman, batting from the right side. And the 0-1 pitch from the left-hander. Pitch misses outside, 1-1. Umpire, somebody yelled 2, but the umpire did not raise his right hand, so it was a ball, 1-1. That was kind of interesting. The 1-1 offering with 2 out, a runner at second for Larned on the first. Again, stepping off the rubber is Jed Mooney, chasing Cade Goglazer back to the bag. Smith waiting to pitch. It's a swing and a miss as he took a healthy hack at that pitch, missed it, and the count is 1-2. Jed Mooney working ahead here now. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Ty Smith. Larned trying to take advantage of the Chapman error, but they need a 2-out hit to do so. The 1-2 offering from Jed Mooney. Half-hearted swing and a miss, and Ty Smith down on strikes. That's the first strikeout for Jed Mooney, and we played 1. Larned nothing, Chapman nothing. You're listening to the Larned Indians on 106.9 The Hits, and it's powered by BTI and Great Bend, your John Deere dealer.
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
Stadium. I'm not sure what the complex is.
On the radio. Is it 106.9? Weird.
Carson Shaver back to the hill for the Indians. There's a pitch swung on and missed by Cade Haney, and the snowballs in 1 strike. Haney is your first baseman for the Chapman Irish. Shaver holds the glove high, can barely see his eyes, and he brings home the 0-1 pitch. There's a ball fouled off to the right side, out of play, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Second inning, no score. Winner gets the winner of Pratt and Mulvane. They'll play that game around 6 o'clock tonight. And the 0-2 offering. Pitch is in the dirt, and the count is 1-2. Once again, I try to be accurate, but, you know, as old as I am, you're just used to saying dirt, when in technically it's the brown portion of the field turf that they have in the infield. There's a pitch that just didn't quite break enough, missed high, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. As Carson Shaver dealing with Cade Haney here, leading off the Chapman second inning. Chapman coming in with that record of 10-8. They were the number 10 seed on the West. Oh, there's a pitch that just missed the corner of 3-2. I think Carson Shaver was kind of looking at the umpire saying, you gave that pitch to the Chapman pitcher. What was wrong with that one? But it missed, and the count is full at 3-2. Kicks and fires. There's a pitch chopped up the third base line. It's going to be foul. And we'll do it again with 3 balls and 2 strikes on the first baseman for Chapman, Cade Haney. He settles back in. He crowds the plate on the right side with a count of 3 balls and 2 strikes. Shaver kicks and fires, and there's a pitch nubbed right back to Shaver. He fields it cleanly. He will make a nice soft toss over to the first baseman, Ian Sanders, for the put out. As Haney cotton jammed on that one and just hit a little 2-hopper back to Carson Shaver, who threw him out. So there's 1 out with nobody on for Ben Griffins, the Chapman right fielder. Into the windup, and the first pitch is sails high. 1 ball and no strikes to Ben Griffin. He also bats from the right side. Actually, let's see. He has 1 batting glove on his left hand, but it looks like his right hand does not have a batting glove. You don't see that very often anymore. No batting gloves, or just 1 batting glove. The 1-0 pitch. There's that swing and a miss, and the count is 1-1. Yep, he does not have a batting glove on the right hand, which would be his top hand, as he holds the bat. And the 1-1 offering with 1 out, nobody on, top of the second. The pitch on the way. There's a chopper. This one's over the head of Shaver. Grabbed by the second baseman, Brady Hope. Over to first baseman, Ian Sanders, for the putout. And it's 2 outs here with nobody on in the top of the second inning. Carson Shaver has gotten a couple weak ground outs here in the top of the second. One that he fielded, and that time it went over his head, but Brady Hope there to field it cleanly and throw to Sanders for the putout. 2 out, nobody on. And now the left-handed hitting Jed Mooney. The pitcher steps in against Carson Shaver as he awaits the first offering from the Larned sophomore, Carson Shaver, and it's a called strike over the outer half, and it's no balls and 1 strike. Shaver's a sophomore. The catcher's a sophomore, Deacon Martin. A couple of freshmen playing, Tristan Regan and Mason Miller. So it's a young team for head coach Chad Irway. The 0-1 pitch. There's a ball hit to the second baseman. Brady Hope's been busy. Fields this one cleanly across the turf in time. And it's another 4-3 putout. So we played an inning and a half. Larned nothing, Chapman nothing. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Indians on 106.9 The Hits. Powered by BTI and Great Bend, your John Deere dealer.
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
Kate Conglaser reached in the first inning on an error, but Mooney able to strike out Ty Smith to end the first. And here we go, bottom of the second. Ian Sanders stepping in, playing first base. There's a pitch swung and a miss, and a pitch in the dirt, and it's no balls and one strike. Well, either they changed numbers on me, or I didn't write the right one down. There's a call strike on the outer half. I have number 5 for Ian Sanders, and he's wearing 25. So I hope I'm wrong there. No balls and 2 strikes. Sanders down in the count. When he swings and misses the pitch in the dirt, and the third down from the first base from the catcher Nathan Hall to Cade Haney in time, and Ian Sanders out on strikes. Second straight strikeout for Jed Mooney, and there's 1 out, nobody on for Carson Shaver. I guess the polite way to say Jed Mooney, he's a soft tosser. Doesn't have a lot of velo at all. Pitch on the way. There's a ball chopped up the third base line into the Larned dugout, and it's no balls and 1 strike to the Larned pitcher, Carson Shaver, batting from the right side as Mooney set at the letters and the 0-1 offering. There's a swing and a miss, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes. So after the error that allowed Conglaser to reach in the first, Mooney's set down the Indians here. And the 0-2 offering. This pitch misses outside, and the count is 1-2. Softball regional going on just to our west here, as this complex is on the east side of Pratt, right off Highway 54. This pitch misses outside, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Glad you're with us this afternoon on 106.9 The Hits. If Larned wins, they will play again this evening about 6:30. And the 2-2 pitch, a swing and a miss, and there's 3 straight strikeouts for Jed Mooney as Carson Shaver went down a hacking, and there's 2 outs, nobody on for Deacon Martin, the Larned catcher. I do believe we change stations if Larned wins, just because there's so much. The rainouts yesterday in Class 3A did not help us at Eagle Radio. There's a pitch for a called strike, and it's no balls and 1 strike as Jed Mooney found his rhythm here in the second inning and was pounding the strike zone. Struck out Sanders to start the inning, and Shaver now 0-1, and there's a ball hit to the shortstop. He'll field it in the air. Carson Hassenbeck with the putout, and it's a soft line drive to Hassenbeck for the putout, and it is a 1-2-3 inning for Jed Mooney. We played 2 complete. Larned nothing, Chapman nothing. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Larned Indians on 106.9 The Hits, powered by BTI and Great Bend, your John Deere dealer.
Listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
Five A did too. I know 5A softball is tomorrow. Great Bend ladies, they'll play Hayes, as Great Bend baseball playing Hayes, as is the softball team. So that rivalry is renewed in the postseason. And there's a pitch from Shaver all the way back to the screen, and the count is 1-0 to Carson Hassenbeck, the shortstop for Judd Lebo and the Chapman Irish, 10-8. Their record on the season and the 10 seed here in the West region of Class 4A. The 1-0 offering. This pitch also in the dirt, and the count is 2-0. So Carson falls behind Hassenbeck. He is the 7th place hitter in Judd Lebo's lineup. Peering over his glove to get the sign from his catcher, Deacon Martin. Now Shaver says, okay, I like that sign, and he brings home the 2-all offering. And this one gets through the glove of Deacon Martin all the way back to the screen again. And Deacon had the old look at his glove like, is there a hole in this glove? But I don't think there was, and he just missed it. And the count is 3 balls and no strikes as Shaver falls behind Hassenbeck to lead off the 3rd inning. Pitch on the way. There's a called strike, 3-1 over the inner half. Defensively for Larned, Miller in left, Coglinger in center, and Reagan in right. Smith at third, Morgan at short, Hope at second, and Sanders at first. There's a pitch swung and fouled back to the screen, and I could have fielded that one if the fence wouldn't have been in the way. And the count is full now at 3-2, so Shaver trying to work his way back into the count here after falling down 3-0. Has battled back to make it full up 3-2. Brings home the payoff pitch, and it's grounded right back to him, and Carson able to field it with a backhand, and he throws out Carson Hassenbeck. So Shaver has been busy. That is the 2nd ground ball right back to him. Brady Hope has been busy at second as well. And there's one out, nobody on for Cooper Lewis, the Chapman center fielder. Might be able to hear the plane flying overhead. Here, this pitch sails high and away, and the count is 1-0. Deacon Martin sets out the sign, and Shaver throws this one right down the heart of the plate, and it's taken for a cold strike, and it's 1-1 to the 8th place hitter for Judd Lebo. Cooper Lewis, 1 ball, 1 strike. Shaver's offering. There's a ball grounded to the first baseman, backhanded by Ian Sanders. He'll jog back to the first base bag for the putout. That play goes 3 unassisted, and there's 2 outs, nobody on for Ray Whitehair. He is the left fielder. So that is now that's 6 straight retired by Carson Shaver. It all started with that great catch out in left field by the left fielder Mason Miller on Avon Fisher to end the 1st inning. Pitch misses outside, and the count is 1-0. So we might have a pitcher's duel going on. I saw a great pitcher's duel last night in Hoisington between Ellenwood and Smoky Valley. The young man for Ellenwood went 7 1/3 innings, walked 1, and struck out 13. There's a swing and a miss, and the count is 1-1. It was just a great pitcher's duel. Ellenwood won it with a single in the bottom of the 8th, and they will take on Hoisington tomorrow. The 1-1 pitch to the left-handed swinging Ray Whitehair. Called strike on the inner half, and it's 1-2. So after falling behind Hassenbeck 3-0, but got the put out, Shaver is pounding the strike zone, and the count is 1-2 to Ray Whitehair. Batting from the left side, and the offering. There's a ball chopped, and to guess who? Brady Hope. He fields it cleanly to the first baseman, Ian Sanders, with a putout. And Brady Hope has had 3 assists thus far through the first 9 batters, and we head to the bottom of the 3rd. Larned nothing, Chapman nothing. You're listening to the Larned Indians on 106.9 The Hits. It's powered by BTI and Great Bend, your John Deere dealer.
Are you a sports fan looking for a great place to grab a bite to eat? Look no further than Legends Cafe, located in Pratt, Kansas, on Highway 54. Legends is open 6 days a week and serves up mouth-watering burgers, fresh salads, hearty sandwiches, and much more. And don't forget about their daily specials. Legends is proud to support Greenback Sports and all the local teams. So whether you're celebrating a big win or just need to refuel after the game, Legends has you covered. Come on down to Legends, and we'll take care of the rest. We'll see you soon.
Mooney has retired 5 straight since the error that allowed Cade College to reach. So the soft tossing left-hander. There's a swing and a miss, and it's no balls and 1 strike to the right-handed hitting Tristan Reagan. Playing right field. He's got some long, flowing white hair protruding from his helmet. There's a foul at the plate, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes to the Larned right fielder, Tristan Reagan. Wears number 9 and plays number 9 in the outfield. That's right field. The 0-2 offering. There's a chopper. It's a high chopper, a Baltimore chop, as they used to say. It's fielded cleanly by Jed Mooney, who fires across the field turf in time to Cade Haney for the putout, and Reagan is retired. That play going 1-3. Not a lot of hard-hit balls thus far between the two teams as we play in the bottom of the third with 1 out. The hardest hit ball was by Avon Fisher of Chapman. That was the line drive to left field that Mason Miller made a nice running catch on for the 2nd out in the 1st. Pitch in the dirt. The count is 1-0. Reagan has struck out 3 actually. Struck out a pair last inning. So he struck out 3, hasn't walked anybody. There's a chopper off the mound to grab it is Mooney, and he fires across the diamond for the out. And for the 2nd consecutive batter here in the 4th, it is 1-3 on the putout. Jed Mooney to Cade Haney. 2 out, nobody on. And then Larned will turn the lineup over. Brady Hope will bat. Brady hit a ground ball to the shortstop. In fact, we've had only 1 ball hit to the outfield thus far. Well, 2 balls hit to the outfield. The single by Nathan Hall, which just got over the head of the first baseman, Ian Sanders. And there's a ball lifted into left field, raging over. And this one's going to get all down and all the way to the fence. Around first, on his way to second is Brady Hope, and he will hold up there with a double. So Brady Hope with a 2-out double as he laced that one into left field. It got by the left fielder, Ray Whitehair, and Hope able to cruise into second base with the first extra base hit of the game. So just as I was mentioning, there was no hard hit balls really thus far. Hope drilled out one into left center field gap. He's at second base with 2 out for Cade Coglager. Cade reached on an error in his first at bat, first plate appearance. Was stranded at second after he stole second. There's a called strike, and it's no balls and 1 strike on of the Larned center fielder, Cade Coglager. Impressed me last year in calling some Larned games. He does a nice job of patrolling center field for Chatterway and the Indians. I'll be honest with you, I was kind of surprised Chad came back and coached another year after his son Logan graduated and was on the Barton Community College baseball team, as they're making a great run this season. The Cougars are 49 wins as they head to a regional in Wichita tomorrow as the number 1 seed. The 0-1 pitch from the left-handed throwing Jed Mooney. There's a swing and a miss, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes on Cade Coglager. Bottom of the 3rd, no score. Brady Hope with Larned's first hit. He stands at second base with the 2-out double here in the bottom of the 3rd. Mooney, there he goes to 3rd on the steal. There's a ball chopped up the 3rd base line. It's going to be foul, and the count will hold at no balls and 2 strikes. So Brady Hope was off for the pitch, trying to get to 3rd. The old baseball adage is you don't make the 1st or 3rd out at 3rd base. So we'll see if Brady Hope is going to try that again. The 0-2 pitch from the left-handed throwing Jed Mooney. Ball hit in the right field. There's Ben Griffiths. He drifts to his left, raises up the right hand with the glove and makes the putout. And Jed Mooney is able to escape the 2-out double by Brady Hope, and the Indians go down quietly other than the double. And we played 3 complete. Larned nothing, Chapman nothing. You're listening to the Larned Indians on 106.9 The Hits. It's powered by BTI in Great Bend. You're John Deere. Day to play baseball than yesterday was. Yesterday wasn't bad, but it was a little cool. But today, I don't know if you could ask for much better baseball weather. Got enough clouds to where it's not a high sky. That helps. And the pitch from Carson Shaver in the dirt, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Larned in those black top uniforms, white numerals trimmed in orange. Chapman in the green tops. It's a little bit darker green for the numerals, and it's outlined in white. There's a pitch. Oh, man. Pitch misses off the corner, 2-0. That was close. 2 balls and no strikes on Chris Falls, the leadoff batter for the Chapman Irish, coming in with a mark of 10-8. There's a called strike, and it's 2-1. That one split the plate in half, and the count is 2-1 on the Chapman, the second baseman, Chris Falls. Shaver brings home the offering, and this one is a swing and a miss, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Shaver has a unique way. He gets the sign with his hand, with the glove, almost covering his eyes, so he can barely see over the top of his glove. And then he drops the glove when he goes into the windup all the way down past his belt. And then goes, and now we're going to have the third base umpire has stopped play, and the count is full at 3-2. Huh. Okay. Count is full at 3-2. According to the home plate umpire, and there's a pitch misses outside. So there's the first walk surrendered by Carson Shaver. Not sure if the third base umpire's stoppage of play distracted Carson or not, but nonetheless, it's the first walk, and Chapman has their leadoff man here in the top of the 4th. Brings up Nathan Hall. He had that little bloop single to right field in his first at bat, but then was caught stealing as Deacon Martin fired it to Caden Morgan for the putout. There's a pitch chopped to the third baseman, Ty Smith. He'll go to second base for 1 and dropping the ball, but the putout is recorded as Brady Hope is moving the ball from his glove to his hand. So that's a fielder's choice. Goes 5-4. Falls is erased, and Nathan Hall now on at first base with 1 out, 1 on for Avon Fisher. Fisher was robbed of a base hit by Larned left fielder Mason Miller, as Miller had to range far to his left and then had to leap and make a grab of the ball off the bat of Avon Fisher. That was a big play there in the top of the first. There's a pitch that drops below the knees for a ball, and the count is 1-0. On at first base is Nathan Hall. After the leadoff walk to Falls to start the 4th inning, Nathan Hall bounced into the 5-4 force out. Shaver working from the stretch. Now time called, as Carson was taking his time getting the signs from Deacon Martin. And Avon Fisher asked for time, and it was granted to him by the home plate umpire. Shaver checks the runner at first. Now he fires over to first base, and diving back to the bag is Nathan Hall. Now Chad Irway yelling out 300. And if you're familiar with the Larned signals, you probably know what that means, as he yells out numerals to set the defense and offense as well. 1-0 pitch. There's a ball chopped to the third baseman, Smith. He has it. He fires to Hope for 1 on the first base. High. And making a turn to first base. He's going to be a race back to the bag. And just getting back to the bag was Avon Fisher. He made that turn to head to second base and then realized he wasn't going to make it, as Ian Sanders was on that overthrow really quick. And then they both were racing back to the bag, and a dive, and Fisher was able to beat Ian Sanders to the bag. So that's the second consecutive fielder's choice. That one goes 5-4. So now Fisher's on at first base. And that brings up Cade Haney. 2 out, nobody on. The throw from Brady Hope was high and over the glove of Ian Sanders, and it went off the railing guarding the dugout, and Sanders recovered quickly and had, as I mentioned, raced Avon Fisher back to the bag. And there's a line shot off the glove of Carson Shaver. He picks it up and fires to first base. Nice reaction there by Carson Shaver. That was a line drive off the bat of Cade Haney that Carson got the glove up, knocked it down, recovered quickly, and fired to Ian Sanders for the putout. So the leadoff walk does no damage. We head to the bottom of the fourth. Chapman nothing, Larned nothing. You're listening to the Indians on 106.9 The Hits. It's powered by...
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
Teams on each side, and Larned was the 7th seed and Chapman the 10th seed on the west. As back to the mound for Chapman is Jed Mooney, and his first pitch is fouled back to the screen as Caden Morgan steps in. No balls and 1 strike. Morgan flied out to the center fielder Cooper Lewis in the first inning for his only at bat thus far. And this pitch is high and away, and the count is a 1-1. Larned with no runs on 1 hit. They've stranded 2. Chapman has committed an error. Chapman with no runs, 1 hit. They've stranded 2. So it's been a pitcher's duel thus far. This pitch in the dirt, and the count is 2-1 to Caden Morgan, leading off the bottom of the 4th inning for the Larned Indians. Winner of this one will play Pratt or Mulvane, as those two will match up after this game. There's a ball chopped to the third baseman, Avon Fisher. Fires it high, but the first baseman, Cade Haney, does a nice job of going up and getting it and then placing the tag on Caden Morgan for the putout. So that play goes 5-3, and there's 1 out, nobody on. Throw from Fisher was high into the home plate side of first base, but Haney, who is not your tallest of first basemen, able to leap up, make the grab, and then place the tag on Caden Morgan. That brings up Ty Smith. Smith was a strikeout victim. 1 of 3 consecutive there for Jed Mooney as he got Smith to end the first inning, then struck out Sanders and Shaver to start the second. And those are his only 3 strikeouts thus far. He hasn't walked anybody. The 1-0 offering from the Chapman left-hander. Ball popped up. It's going to drift out of play to the right side. Giving chase is the first baseman, Cade Haney, but that one was well back and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. 320 down either line here in Pratt, and it's 385 to center and to the left center and right center field gaps. So it's 385 all the way around except for the line, so that's a circular outfield. Not sure the right term I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. 2 balls and 1 strike. Jed Mooney dealing with Ty Smith here. Pitch in the dirt, and the count is 3-1. Mooney has not walked anybody thus far. Larned with just 1 hit. They had a runner reach base on an error as well. This pitch is 3-2. Nice job of getting the count full. There is Jed Mooney as that pitch just caught the outside corner. And it's 3-2 as the Chapman left-hander works from the full windup. Facing Ty Smith in this pitch. There's a chopper to Fisher at third. He fields it cleanly, takes 3 or 4 steps, and this one is a little bit lower and handled nicely by Cade Haney. And that's the 5-3 putout. 2 outs, nobody on for Ian Sanders. As I mentioned, Sanders was a strikeout victim. He was the middle of the 3 strikeout victims that Jed Mooney had in the first and the first 2 outs of the second. Hasn't struck anybody out since and hasn't walked anybody. Been a well-played game on both sides thus far. We have 2 outs, nobody on. Scoreless contest, bottom of the 4th inning. There's a pitch grounded to Fisher. He feels this one cleanly. He tries to do the side. This throw low, and he gets by the first baseman. And rounding first on his way to second base will be Ian Sanders, and he will reach on the air. So that will be the second error of the contest by the Chapman Irish. We'll give that one to the third baseman, Avon Fisher. His throw was just a little bit low, and reaching second base is Sanders on the throwing error. That'll bring up Carson Shaver. The Larned pitcher, he was a strikeout victim as well. See if he can get that runner home from second base for the Indians. There's a pitch in at the letters for a called strike, and it's no balls and one strike. Larned with a chance. They had a 2-out double by Brady Hope in the third, and now they have a runner at second base by way of an error, Ian Sanders. See if they can capitalize on the air. There's a ball over the head of the third baseman, Avon Fisher. The third base is the runner, Sanders, and he's on his way home. It's going to be a play to play, and he scores, and he gets by the catcher. And into second base, rounding second base is Carson Shaver. He will go all the way to third base. So that will be a RBI single in my book, as scoring was Ian Sanders. And then Carson Shaver went to second on the throw home. And then we'll say he went to third on the error. And that was an error by, now we'll have to give that one to Avon Fisher again. So that's 2 errors in the inning by Fisher. And it's 1-0 Larned. That's the most important thing. And now heading to the mound to talk things over is Judd Lebo, the head coach of Chapman. It was a high chopper, and Fisher just couldn't get enough elevation to bring it down. So it was a clean single to left, and I know Carson Shaver would have scored, Ian Sanders would have scored anyway, but then all heck broke loose, and Shaver ends up at third base. So Shaver able to help himself there with that 2-out single to left field, scoring Ian Sanders. Wasn't well hit, but it was well placed. 1-0 Indians. Ooh, they even got the pitch count on the scoreboard. I just noticed that. That's pretty cool. As Jed Mooney just threw his 46th pitch, I believe, of the game. That was his 43rd. Count is 1-0 as this pitch misses a Deacon Martin. Martin pops this one up in the air, giving chases the second baseman, Chris Falls, in the short right field. He drops the baseball, and scoring will be Carson Shaver. Just dropping the baseball. I don't know what else you can say. So that will be the third error of the inning against Chapman. And on our first base is Deacon Martin, coming home to score the second run of the inning and the game for the Indians was Carson Shaver. It was a high pop-up, and actually Chris Falls didn't have to move very far. And like I say, the clouds are well above us, so there's no high sky. So I don't know what happened. He just dropped it. So Martin's on at first base. As Shaver able to score, and it's 2-0 Indians here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Swing and a miss by Tristan Reagan, and the count is no balls and one strike on the Larned right fielder, Tristan Reagan. He's a freshman. He looks down the wristband on his left hand. Signs from the coach. There's a ball chopped to the second baseman, Falls. He bobbles this one, but he slips to the second baseman, Hasselbeck, for the putout. Play goes 4-6, but the Indians, with the help of some shoddy defense from Chapman, grab 2 runs here in the bottom of the fourth. We head to the fifth. Larned 2, Chapman 0. Listen to the Indians on 106.9 The Hits, powered by BTI.
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
the number 10 seed on the West in Class 4A. Griffin's grounded out to the second baseman, Brady Hope, and is only at bat thus far as he leads off the fifth. Carson Shaver with, that will be his 46th pitch, I believe, and it's no balls and a strike as the pitch is swung on and missed by Griffins. Okay, so they don't update it after each pitch, but they do after each half inning. So Mooney has thrown 59 pitches for Chapman, and Shaver just threw his 47th, and it's a hack and a miss by Griffins, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Shaver has given up the 1 hit. He has walked 1 and has not struck anybody out. There's a pitch, and now he has as he gets Griffins the fan at that pitch, and that's the first strikeout. Let me go back and see here. That's what I have. First strikeout by Carson Shaver. So there's 1 out with nobody on for Jed Mooney. Mooney grounded to the second baseman. Hope as well in the second inning, ending that second inning. Shaver readjusting things. Now we'll have Mooney step out of the batter's box. Now he's back in from the left side. And here comes the offering from the Larned right-hander. Off-speed pitch catches the outside corner. Great pitch there by Carson Shaver. And he gets ahead of his counterpart, Jed Mooney, no balls and 1 strike. The 0-1 pitch. Ball foul back and out of play to the left side, and the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Shaver working with a 2-run lead here now in the top of the 5th inning. Larned trying to advance to the Pratt Region Championship game. They'll place the winner of Pratt Mulvane later this afternoon and evening. This pitch misses outside 1-2. A breaking ball didn't have a lot of break on it, and the count is 1-2. Batting from the left side is Mooney. He crowds the plate. His left toe is on the inside part of the batter's box line. And this count, pitch misses low, and the count is 2-2. 2-2 pitch from Carson Shaver after he gets the sign from Deacon Martin. Ball right back up the middle. It's fielded by the shortstop, Caden Morgan, who's thrown to first base in time. I believe Carson Shaver might have flicked that ball a little bit. He got a glove on it. I'm going to say 1-6-3 for doing a nice job of fielding. It was the Larned shortstop, Caden Morgan, over to C.A. Sanders for the putout. And there's 2 outs, nobody on for Carson Hassenbeck. So after the walk to lead off the 4th, Shaver retired 5 straight. 2 outs, nobody on. I'm pretty sure Shaver got just a touch of a glove on that one. There's an off-speed pitch over the inner half for a called strike, and it's 0-1 to Carson Hassenbeck. Taking pitches from Carson Shaver. The 0-1 pitch. Foul off the right side, and it's 0-2 as giving chase was Ian Sanders, but the ball drops harmlessly onto the grass up the right field line. Chapman a little slow getting on that baseball as it's still sitting out there. Usually they don't allow that to happen. Now somebody from Chapman's going to race out there and get that baseball. No balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs. Top of the 5th inning, Larned leading at 2-0. Shaver set, brings home the offering. There's a pitch chopped right back to Carson Shaver. He makes the stab, fires it over to Sanders for the putout, and that play goes 1-3. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for the Indians as Chapman goes down in order. We played 4.5. Larned 2, Chapman nothing. You're listening to the Larned Indians on 106.9.
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
Indians. Pitch to Mason Miller is a called strike, and it's 0-1 on the Indian left fielder. There's a swing and a miss, and he's down to count 0-2. Miller grounded out to the pitcher in his first at bat. He did make the defensive play of the game thus far as he made a nice grab on Avon Fisher to end the first inning. Pitch on the way. Ball fouled off over the first base dugout, occupied by the green-cladded Chapman Irish. And the count holds that no balls and 2 strikes. As we see the UPS truck out across the center field fence, making a turn into the complex. Off-speed pitch and well out in front of that one was Mason Miller as he swings and misses. That's a strikeout. That will be the 4th strikeout, but the first since the second inning for Jed Mooney. 1 out, nobody on for Brady Hope. Hope doubled with 2 outs in the third, but was stranded there. Larned got their 2 runs in the 4th. Some shoddy defense by the Chapman. There's a ball laced into left field. Ray Whitehair takes a couple steps to his right, reaches up with the left hand to make the grab, and there's 2 outs, nobody on as Brady Hope lines out to the left fielder, Ray Whitehair. Cade Coglazier steps in. Cade reached on an error in the first, stole second, was stranded. Then he popped up to the right fielder, Ben Griffiths, in shallow right field in his last at bat. Takes a call, strike, no balls and 1 strike. So Larned scored their 2 runs in the 4th inning after the first 2 were out. Ian Sanders reached on an error, and then he came home to score on a Carson Shaver single. There's a called strike, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. So it hasn't really been a well-played game. At least Chapman's played a well-played game other than for about 3 batters. And the 0-2 pitch. This pitch misses high in the way, and the count is 1-2. I do have Chapman for 4 errors in the contest. 3 of them right there in a row in the 4th inning, which allowed Larned to score 1 of their 2 runs. There's a swing and a miss, and Cade Coglazier down on strikes as the throw goes down to first place to complete the strikeout. So that's a 1-2-3 inning for Jed Mooney. We head to the 6th. Larned on top of Chapman by a score of 2-0. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Indians on.
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
And I know I just jinxed everything by that comment. As Shaver throws home the pitch, there's a bunt. Shaver off the mound. It's a good bunt, and it's going to be, not in time. Infield single by Cooper Lewis as he beats out that bunt. It was a great bunt. Shaver was off the mound quickly, but his throw was about a half a step late, and on the first base is Cooper Lewis. So an infield single by Cooper Lewis brings up Ray Whitehair. This is the bottom. He is the 9th place hitter in the lineup for Chapman. 2-0 Larned, top of the 6th. That's just the 2nd hit of the contest for Chapman. So to first base, diving back to the bag is Cooper Lewis. No ball. First pitch here as awaiting is Ray Whitehair. Shaver checks the runner at first base. There's another throw over to first base, and diving back to the first base bag is the base runner, Cooper Lewis. Lewis on at first base. He got a bunt single, beautifully placed bunt, and just beat the throw by Carson Shaver to lead off here in the top of the 6th inning. Shaver scoring the bunt, taking the pitch outside is Ray Whitehair, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes on the left-handed hitting left fielder for Jed Lebo and the Chapman Irish. Gets the sign from his third base coach. Now steps back in. The 1-0 offering from the Larned sophomore Carson Shaver. Infielders charged, expecting the bunt, and not scoring around that time. Was going to swing away and taking a call strike was Ray Whitehair. The count is even at 1-1. Now Judd Lebo will run through signs again. Smith from third and Sanders from first, charging hard from their respective positions at first and third. But Whitehair did not score that time around. Let's see what he does here. He is the 9th place hitter. He wiggles back. Now he squares and takes his pitch away, and the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. A little cat and mouse game going on here, as Whitehair squared the bunt on the pitches 1 and 3, but did not square the bunt on the second pitch. So we'll see what Judd Lebo has in store here. Leadoff single by Cooper Lewis, a bunt single. He's up first with nobody out. Whitehair has the count 2-1. There's a quick throw to first base, and diving back to the bag is Cooper Lewis. Perfectly placed bunt single by Lewis. He's on at first. Larned leads it 2-0 here. Top of the 6th, no score, or no outs for Chapman. Pitch misses the outside portion of the plate, and the count is 3-1. So Whitehair with the advantage. Now we'll see what Judd Lebo has in mind. Lewis, the 8th place hitter of the bunt single. Whitehair now ahead in the count, 3-1. As Shaver checks the runner, and his pitch in the dirt, and there'll be runners at first and second as Ray Whitehair earns the walk, and that is, by my count, just the second walk given up by Carson Shaver. He's given up 2 hits, has held Chapman scoreless thus far. But more importantly for the Irish, that turns the lineup over, and that'll bring leadoff man Chris Falls to the plate. He is 0 for 1, walked in his last at-bat in the 4th inning. See what Coach Lebo has in mind now with the leadoff man on there, and Shaver able to find the strike zone for that pitch, and it's no balls and a strike. 2 on, nobody out, top of the 6th. Indians on top by a score of 2-0 as they battle Chapman here in the regional semifinal. This pitch is cut on and missed. Great off-speed pitch there by Carson Shaver. And the count is no balls and 2 strikes. Shaver could use a strikeout here. Double play ball would be fine. Pop-up wouldn't be bad. He gets the sign from Deacon Martin. Runners get their leads away from first and second respectively. There's a pitch lined into the center field. Holding on are the runners as the catch is made by Cade Coglinger. And drifting a little bit far off the bag there at second base was Cooper Lewis. And Coglinger was in fairly short center field, able to make the grab, and his throw almost caught the runner at second base, Cooper Lewis, drifting off too far, but he's back to the bag. As that's the first out of the inning, as Falls flies out to the center fielder, Cade Coglinger. That brings up Nathan Hall. Hall is 1 for 2. He has the other hit in the contest for Chapman. He had a 1-out single in the first inning. Was caught stealing. And then the bunt single here by Cooper Lewis to lead off the 6th. He's at second base. There's a ball right to the first baseman on the line drive. Ian Sanders takes the grab, steps on the bag, and the line drive double play. 3 unassisted, gets the Indians out of the top of the 6th inning. Boy, the ball was hit right hard there by Nathan Hall. Hall has hit the ball harder than anybody today, was robbed by Mason Miller in the first, and this time he lines into a double play as that ball was caught by Ian Sanders, and the first runner at first, Ray Whitehair, really had nothing he could do as he strayed a little bit too far off the bag, and Sanders made the grab. One giant leap back to the bag for the double play, and Larned leads it 2-0 as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning.
You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.
Sanders for the Indians against Jed Mooney. 68 pitches. Ike Shaver. Boy, I'm going way back on that one. Carson Shaver. There's a pitch in the dirt, and it's 2-0. Carson Shaver has thrown 67 pitches through 6 innings. As Larned did a nice job of escaping that top of the 6th with no runs damaged after there's a ball laced into left field, giving chase his right here. He can't get it. It bounces in front of him. Then he lost it. And rounding first and holding on with the big turn is Caden Morgan. So Morgan with the leadoff single to left. 1 out of 3 in the contest. That brings up Ty Smith. Ty, nothing for 2 in the ball game. That is Larned's 3rd hit of the game. Been a well-played, well-pitched ball game. I say well played. I'm sure Chapman would argue that a little bit. They had a very bad stretch in the 4th inning, which helped Larned score the only 2 runs of the game thus far. 3 errors in a 2-batter sequence for Chapman allowed the Indians to score 2 of their runs, and they lead it 2-0 here. As Mooney checks the runner at first, now he'll toss over to first base. Diving back to the bag is Caden Morgan to let off the inning here with a solid shot to left that dropped just in front of Ray Whitehair. Pitch on the way. There's a swing and a miss by Ty Smith, and the count is no ball and 1 strike. Indians lead it 2-0. Bottom of inning number 6. Might able to hear Chad Irway yelling out 0-2-4. There's a swing and a miss by Smith on a pitch in the dirt, and the count is 0-2. Instead of giving signals, Chad Smith vocalizes signals, and each one of those numbers means something, and they all look to their wristband to see what he called. There goes the runner from first. They have him picked off, and the third and second base is going to be not in time, as having trouble getting the ball out of his glove was Cade Hammond, the first baseman, and into second base goes Cade Morgan with a stolen base. Cade Haney, at first base. So Indians with a runner in scoring position now, with nobody out, as we play in the bottom of the 6th. Pitching the dirt, gets away from the catcher Nathan Hall, and down to third base will be Caden Morgan. So Morgan picked off, but able to steal second after a leadoff single to left. Now advances to third on a wild pitch. So the Indians with a big runner down 90 feet away. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th. Trying to advance into the regional championship game. A swing and a miss. And it's a put out as Ty Smith goes down swinging for the 5th strikeout by Jed Mooney. That'll bring up Ian Sanders. Sanders started the Larned rally in the 4th as he reached on an error and able to come around and score on a Carson Shaver single. Pitch on the way. Squares the bunt, gets it down. Great bunt. That's going to get the run home. Larned leads it 3-0, and nobody covering first base as, they're going to say batter's interference, I believe. So they say that Ian Sanders got in the way of the catcher. So the runner has to go back to third. Well, that's an interesting turn of events. We'll say batter's interference as the batter, Ian Sanders, they say, stepped in front of the catcher, Nathan Hall, and that kind of disrupted the play. So back to third is Caden Morgan. Now there's 2 outs. And now Chad Irway wants a discussion. If the batter is out, that would be 2 outs by my count. Now we're going to have a conference as the umpire at third kind of signaled both hands, and the 3 umpires along with Chad Irway are going to discuss this matter. That'd be a big play in the ball game because Larned would be up 3-0, and now the umpire explaining to Chad that we're going to talk about it, and Chad just kind of standing there. Like to know what that discussion was about. Can't quite hear. 2-0 currently. The scoreboard has 3-0, but I believe the runner will have to go back to third. That's Caden Morgan. And there's 2 outs. Okay, so 2 outs, a runner at third. As it was a safety squeeze. Sanders got the bunt down. It was going to be a good one, but he stepped in front of the catcher, Nathan Hall. And that made batter's interference, I guess is what you would call that. Sent the runner back to third, who had come down the line to score. Sanders is out, and Caden Morgan is on third. That could be a big play in the old ball game here. Pitch on the way, ball up the right field line, giving chase is Haney, and it's going to drop as a trio of Chapman Irish converge on the baseball, but it fouls to the green grass out up the right field line. And the count is now 1 ball and 1 strike on Carson Shaver. Carson could really help himself here. He does have an RBI. He had an RBI single back in the 2-run 4th inning for the Indians. He had that chopper just over the head of the third baseman, Avon Fisher, which allowed Ian Sanders to score. 1-1 pitch. Pitch in the dirt, gets away from the catcher, but not very far. Just outside the circle that rings the home plate area. Jumping on it quickly was Nathan Hall. So the count is 2-1. Morgan started the inning with a single to left. Advanced to second on a stolen base, and then went to third on a wild pitch. And then the strikeout of Smith. There's the ball fouled out of play up the right field line. Count holds that. There's the ball. Count is now 2 balls and 2 strikes. And then the interesting one with the batter's interference, as Ian Sanders laid down a bunt with Morgan racing home from third, and they called Sanders out, and Morgan had to go back to third. 2-2 offering on the way. Off-speed pitch. Jed Mooney was about 4 steps to the first base dugout, but the umpire said, "No, young man, I'm sorry. That pitch was just a tad high," and the count is full at 3-2. Mooney now gets set at the letters, brings home the offering, and this pitch sails high and away, and it's ball 4. So Carson Shaver earns the walk. So it'll be runners at first and third, as Morgan's still on at third base. And by my count, that is the first walk of the game surrendered by Jed Mooney. Now the skipper of Chapman, Jed Lebo, will head to the mound and have the infield gather around him. Going to talk about things here. See if Chad Irway tries to steal a run. There's 2 outs, 2 on, bottom of the 6th. Larned leads it by a score of 2-0. Indians scored 2 in the 4th inning with the help of 3 Chapman errors. Carson Shaver did have an RBI single. Sanders and Shaver both scored. And now Chapman has discussed things. The meeting breaks up, and The head skipper, Lebo, will head back to the first base dugout. As the new football coach for Larned, Brady Keith, along with Carson Shaver, jog back over to the first base bag and coaching box respectively. And Deacon Martin steps in with the runners on the corners. 2 outs, 2 on. Bottom of the 6th, Indians up 2-0. Mooney brings home the offering. Pitch is a called strike, and it's 0-1. I've seen a lot of pitchers take 1 or 2 steps off the mound when they thought a pitch was a call, but Mooney took about 4. He was a third of the way to the dugout when the umpire didn't call the strike. The 0-1 pitch. The runners on the corners. This pitch misses high and away, and the count is 1-1. Now a delayed steal, and the catcher will just let Carson Shaver go into second base. So that'll be a stolen base for Carson Shaver. He did not go with the pitch. It was a delayed steal, but he's on at second base. So 2 runners in scoring position for the Indians here. Big a plate, big a bat for Deacon Martin. Indians can use a couple more runs. There's a called strike, and it's 1-2 to the Larned catcher, Deacon Martin. Deacon nothing for 2 in the ballgame. Hit a line drive to the shortstop, Hassenbeck, in the second. And then he reached on one of the errors that Chapman committed in the 4th inning. This pitch is in the dirt. Nice block there by the catcher, Nathan Hall. And the count is even. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Left-hander Mooney set at the letters. And the 2-2 pitch. Ball hit to the shortstop, Carson Hassenbeck. Fields it, fires across the diamond in time. Nice play by the shortstop. Big play there by Carson Hassenbeck. He gets the 6-3 put out. He had to range far to his right into the hole. He's able to slide to one knee, pick it, get up, and throw in time to get Deacon Martin running down the line. So Larned denied in the 6th inning. Thought they had a run, but a controversial batter's interference call took away the run for the Indians, and they're unable to capitalize after that. 2-0 Larned. As we head to the top of the 7th inning, you're listening to the Indians on 106.9 The Hits. It's powered by BTI in Great Bend. Pitch number 68 as Fisher leads off the top of the 7th for Chapman. The Indians on top 2-0. This pitch from the Larned sophomore right-hander outside, and the count is 1 ball and 1 strike. Deacon Martin hangs out the sign for Shaver. Likes what he sees, and now into the windup and the pitch. Off-speed pitch, check swing, called strike, and Fisher down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. So besides flying out to the line drive out to the left fielder, Avon Fisher grounded into a fielder's choice in his last at bat. Larned is playing a very clean game here this afternoon. The ball fouled off the right side, and it will be out of play. Giving chase is Ian Sanders. The count holds at no balls and 2 strikes. Larned on top, 2-0. They pretty much have met all of Chad Irway's keys to the game. They played solid defense, got some timely hitting, took advantage of a couple of Chapman errors to push across those 2 runs. And Shaver brings home the 0-2 offering. There's a ball chopped to the third baseman. It gets by him, but controlled by Caden Morgan. His throw is going to be not in time when it gets by the first baseman, Ian Sanders. I think that was going to be a base hit anyway. So we'll give Aiden Fisher the base hit. A base hit to the shortstop as he reached base. That is the 3rd hit in the contest for Chapman. And that'll bring up the cleanup batter, Cade Haney. Boy, that run in the bottom of the 6th inning that Larned thought they had scored but had taken off the scoreboard, looking kind of big now after the leadoff single. Indians trying to hold on. They lead at 2-0 here at the top of the 7th inning. Smoky Ford Field, the site of this regional championship. This is a semifinal matchup. Pitch in the dirt, and the count is 1-0. Haney, nothing for 2 in the ballgame. Grounded back to the pitcher, Carson Shaver, both times. And boy, would Larned not like to see a 3rd one. That'd be a chance to turn a double play. Shaver checks the runner first. That's Fisher, set at the belt. And this pitch is a called strike, and it's 1-1. Wind starting to pick up just a tad here at Pratt. Been a gorgeous day thus far. Drifting in over the left field fence out of the north. At Trans Stadium, Smoky Ford Field. The 1-1 pitch hit into right field. On comes the right fielder, Reagan. And he makes a running catch into the right field corner. Nice catch out there by right fielder Tristan Reagan. He's a freshman, and that is, we'll give that one a star as well. He had a range well to his left and caught it right against the right field line. So there's 1 out and 1 on. Big play in the game, because if that one gets by him, that would really put Larned in a bad position. 1 out, 1 on for Ben Griffins. Griffins nothing for 2, grounded out and struck out. Pitch high, the count is 1-0. So Larned, no errors committed thus far, and a couple of outstanding defensive plays. And they are 2 outs away from a shutout and hanging around Pratt for a couple hours to play in the regional championship game. 1-0 pitch, called strike on the outside corner, and it's 1-1. Aiden Fisher, he's on at first base. He reached with an infield single to the shortstop, Caden Morgan. Shaver peers into his catcher, Deacon Martin, for the sign. Now comes set at the belt, and the 1-1 offering. Pitch in the dirt, gets by Deacon Martin. Deacon not really knowing where it was at, able to chase it down right in front of us here. And Fisher advances to second base on the wild pitch. Count is 2-1 on Ben Griffins, the Chapman right fielder. Shaver toes the slab. He works right in the center of the pitching rubber as he gets the sign from Deacon Martin. And the 2-1 offering. Pitch in the dirt, outside, and the count is 3-1. Runner at second. Haven Fisher reached on the infield single, advanced to second on the wild pitch. Then Cade Haney hit a line drive to the right fielder. Tristan Reagan, who made a nice running catch for the first out of the inning, as Larned tries to get a couple more here before runs. There's a swing and a miss. And the count is full on Ben Griffins. It's 3-2. Griffins bats from the right side, steps out, now back into the batter's box. Has an open stance. Right foot closer to the batter's box, right, the line right near the plate, and his left foot a little bit in the hole, as they used to say. The 3-2 offering. Pitch foul to the plate, and the count holds at 3-2. So we'll do it again. Fisher on at second base. Larned leads it 2-0. Bottom of inning, or top of inning number 7. Shaver set on the pitching rubber. And checks with Martin, brings on the pitch. Pitch in the dirt. And the count has, that's ball 4. So Ben Griffins earns the walk. And he's down to first base. And that is, by my count, the 3rd walk given up by Carson Shaver. So Chapman has runners at first and second with 1 out for Jed Mooney. Mooney has a couple ducks on the pond. Trying to help himself here. Chapman trailing 2-0. Quick pick, throw back to second base. He gets by the second baseman, but backing up to play is Cade Coglaser. So no advance by any of the runners. First and second. On second is Fisher. On first is Griffin. As they tried to get Fisher leaning a little bit. They might have a courtesy runner out there. Let's see about that. Let's see if that's a courtesy runner. I can't really see. Pitch on the way. This one stays outside and it's 1-0. You know, Fisher is not the catcher or the pitcher. And I don't think you can have a courtesy runner. But that's not Avon Fisher out of second base. I can guarantee you that much. 1 ball, no strikes on Jed Mooney. Pitch catches the outside corner. A nice off-speed pitch by the Larned sophomore right-hander Carson Shaver. And the count is 1-1. 1 out, 2 on. Larned leading 2-0 on top of the 7th inning. Martin hangs out the sign for Shaver, the right-hander. Brings home this pitch. There's a ball fouled off to the right side, giving chase is Ty Smith. But it's going to be fouling out of play. And the count is 1-2 to the Chapman pitcher. Jed Mooney has thrown a good game in his own regard. He has only given up in his tour on the mound 3 hits, a couple of runs, but one of those went unearned as he got hurt by some shabby defense by Chapman in the 4th. There's a pitch foul back directly over the screen behind us, and the count is holding at 1 ball and 2 strikes. A lot of cars in the parking lot here as the 4 baseball teams are here, and I'm guessing the 4 softball teams are here as there's 4 buses in the parking lot, actually 5 buses in the parking lot that we can see over the right field fence. And the 1-2 pitch to Jed Mooney. Ball hit to the second baseman, Brady Hope. He'll go to second for 1. Got the out there on the first base. Double play, and the Indians finally turned one. They've had 2 or 3 chances thus far, but they turn this one. That is the old 4-6-3, and the Indians win the contest by a score of 2-0, and they will play for the regional championship. They will take on the winner of Pratt and Mulvane. That game will be played in a couple of hours. What a win for the Indians as they get win number 13 on the season as Chatterway. He is a baseball man, and his team played a very good game today as they win a hard-fought 2-0 win over Chapman as Carson Shaver gets the complete game shutout. He started the inning with 87 pitches. Maybe that's complete, I'm not sure, but they have 87 pitches on the scoreboard. So we'll see if he's done for, well, he can't pitch anymore. He might be able to throw an inning or 2 here in game number 2 if needed. But the big thing is, Larned with a 2-run 4th inning, they make it stand up, and they win it by a score of 2-0 over Chapman. They will face the winner of Pratt and Mulvane in the regional championship game. We'll take a break and start your post-game show after this. Larned 2, Chapman 0, your final score. You're listening to Greenback Sports, brought to you by Eastus Media.